back, Fire Tribe. Player picks, game week 25. We have officially run out of chips at the Fireside FPL team.
No more chips for our dip.
Wait. We have the triple captain.
Oh, I always forget about the triple captain.
Because we
We've been
used our
saving
double instead of our triple.
We'll get to that.
You're right. We do. Hey, I take it back. I forgot about the triple captain. We actually do still have a chip left.
Single chip.
This is the first game week in what feels like a little while where there's no doubles and there's no blanks. So every team is playing. You get the choice of all the players. I would imagine most managers are either out of chips or, like us, maybe have one of the smaller ones left over, like the triple captain. So all things this week are kind of a little more equal amongst the managers. Normally, we would do this looking for the absolute best matchups of the week, like we did last week. Wolves and Leicester, right? The Southampton matchups. But this week is one of the more evenly matched game weeks that we've had in a pretty long time. Pretty much all these teams are tough to predict who's going to win. One of those reasons is the two bottom dwellers are playing each other. Southampton and Leicester have a matchup together. And then Ipswich, the other team that's about to get relegated, gets Everton, a team that isn't known for their offense this year.
Snooze fest.
There's not a lot of stuff to predict, so you're really going to have to be smart this week, be a little lucky. You may have to stretch a bit to pull guys in that you think could have a good week. So it's going to be very, very interesting. But we have lots to talk about, so we want to get right into it. Dave, can you start us off with the transfers?
Sure can, Sean.
Sure can.
So the ins, some familiar faces. Brian Mbeumo, no surprise there. Matheus Cunha continues to cook after a goal and 2 assists. Josko Guardiol, the other Brentford option we like, Yohan Wissa is in there. Rayan Ait-Nouri, Chris Wood is back in the transfer-ins. I do want to save one transfer in that I think is interesting, but I'm going to come back to it. The outs, our favorite whipping boy currently, Cole Palmer, is the most transferred out player, which I know is shocking. Evan Nielsen's on the list after his straight red against Man United.
Breaking legs.
Former United man Marcus Rashford has a hamstring injury that got announced today, so he is likely out till the end of the season. Villa plays United the last game, so he can't play in that game anyway. João Pedro's on here. He's suspended. Bruno Fernandes. Ola Aina is on there. But the last out that Phil, I know you have some thoughts, is Bukayo Saka. A lot of people were buying him last week, were excited about him coming back, but he didn't start. What up with that?
Yeah, I mean, his minutes aren't there. He hasn't produced much since he's been back, and fairly so. We're talking about Arsenal's last hope being the Champions League. They haven't been in this position in the Champions League, the most prestigious tournament in Europe that my team, Real Madrid, has won 15 times, but they haven't been in this position for quite some time.
They just beat your team.
Okay. That's true.
Sorry.
Yeah, no, that's fine. But 15 trophies. No, so obviously that's what they're hunting for. I think they're in a comfortable position in the league. If they slack, they could drop to third, but it doesn't really matter. So I just don't think that Saka is someone you can rely on because his focus is going to be the Champions League. I think he's going to use the league games to kind of keep his legs fresh. He'll play minutes here and there just to, again, stay fresh and stay ready to go. But I just don't see him as someone that you would want to bring into your team. You know, we talked about him substituting someone like Palmer or Salah when Salah went through a dip before scoring this last weekend. But at this point, I don't think he's worth it. So I wouldn't risk it with Saka.
I mean, he's started their games in the Champions League, and he did start the game against Ipswich when they doubled. But that's the only game he's started since he's come back. So
I think, I want to just – something you said. Arsenal, for the record, they can drop well out of third place. They are 5 points above Newcastle, but they're only 6 points above City. And they're only 7 points above Chelsea. So they do have I know it's probably not likely, but I think a lot of what it's going to depend on is this upcoming week, to your point.
Yeah.
No, of course I would not be playing Saka this week. In between this PSG matchup, but depending on how that matchup goes. If Arsenal gets knocked out, now they're going to be in a hot race to stay in the top 5, I think. Odds are they don't drop out, but they're still in the competition to stay in there. So he probably will start getting playing time, but let's say they beat PSG, to your point, Phil. Nah. I'm out on them then this season.
Yeah.
There's no way.
Is the first leg at home for
I don't know. Let
champions?
me check.
The champions.
It is.
Because they're not going to get wiped out at home.
It is at home.
Yeah, so he's playing both legs.
So, just alluding to Sean's point, Arsenal's next 12 days, they play PSG tomorrow, April 29th. Then they play Bournemouth on May 3rd. Then they play on May 7th is the second leg against PSG, and then they have a game on May 11th against Liverpool. So I think in my mind it's safe to assume that like the pattern is going to continue for at least those next two Premier League games where he starts in the Champions League, then probably comes off the bench in the Premier League.
Mark our words. Mark my words. I don't want to speak for you guys.
Watch it.
In the Premier League, he's going to play 27 to 36 minutes a game in between the Champions Leagues. I'm saying it right now.
Noted.
I think that's fair. All right, Dave. Keep going.
But
Is that the last one?
that was the last out. I did say there was an in I wanted to come back to, and that is the Egyptian Prince Omar Marmoush is one of the transfer ins this week. And I mentioned that partially because they have a good matchup against Wolves, even though Wolves are in form right now. But the piece of news that I mentioned earlier also is that Marcus Rashford is probably out for the year for Villa.
It's tough.
Which kind of solves that problem for us. You know, we were talked about it with Villa doubling, like, do you want Rashford? Do you want Watkins? Do you want both of them? I've got to think now that Ollie Watkins starts every game for the run-in for Villa because they're trying to get into Europe. They're out of all the cups, so those last 4 Premier League games are all they got. And so that got me thinking, like, in terms of who you want on your team for your forwards, I think you guys would agree with me that Isak and Matheus Cunha are the top 2 options right now.
Yes, I wouldn't take both of them, but I'm not going to get into that. Yes, they are the top options.
So,
just, objectively.
I don't think you're getting rid of one of them to bring in Watkins, though. Like, I wouldn't be looking to do that.
No.
So my mind went to, okay, what if you're sitting there, which I am, with Isak, Cunha, and Omar Marmoush? Are you dropping Marmoush for Ollie Watkins? And I want to know what you guys think about it. But first, I want to give you guys some background. We always consider form and fixtures, right? Those are the 2 mainstays. So I was looking, all right, who's in better form between the 2? So I looked at the last 5 games at their underlying numbers to try and get a sense of who I liked more, and it didn't really help me all that much. So all of these stats are per 90 because Marmoush played an extra game, but Watkins has an edge in XFPL, 763 to 6.6, an edge in just raw points per 90. He's at 9. Marmoush is at 5.7, 0.91 to 0.82 big chances. He has slightly more shots in the box and shots on goal. Marmoush's XG, XA, shots on goal, big chances created are in his favor. Both their schedules are good. City get Wolves, Southampton, Bournemouth, and Fulham. Villa gets Fulham, Bournemouth, Tottenham, and United. So all 4 of those games are teams with nothing to play for. 2 of those games are in common. Watkins is slightly less owned. So yeah, I was hoping to find answers. I'm a bit of a Watkins stan, I think.
You are.
But I want to know what you guys think.
Yeah, the schedule, I was hoping to look into the schedules and see my answer. And to your point, it's
basically
it's not there. And both teams are playing pretty similarly. Neither team is really blowing it out of the park. I mean, from a gut feel for me, I prefer Omar Marmoush. I know people are probably a little upset with him. He's blanked 2 weeks in a row. I get that. But the Wolves matchup, people have the idea of Wolves right now because they're on such a hot run that they're such a good team. Look at who they've played. They have not played any good competition. They haven't played one team that's in the top 13 in this run they've been on. So I'm not blowing Wolves out of the water right now. I still think Wolves is an easy matchup.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
And then they get Southampton right after that. And any team that gets to play Southampton, Leicester, or Ipswich, I'm just more excited about. So for me, I'm taking Omar Marmoush probably just for the Southampton matchup. That one just interests me more than any other matchup that Ollie Watkins is going to get. So that's where I would go with it. I don't know. Man U, you never know what you're going to get. So that one worries me a little bit. Fulham has been good on defense here and there throughout the season. I just think the matchups that Ollie Watkins is going to have are a little tougher.
Fair. Philip, thoughts, feelings?
I'm torn. I mean, they're pretty much identical. There's no questions about it. So
It's a guess, you know?
And so then you can't go wrong in terms of recent form, fixtures, what they've been producing. So the biggest thing I would look at is the price tag, and Ollie Watkins is still significantly higher.
A little bit, yeah.
So that's where I would see that difference between them to favor Marmoush too, especially if you have Isak up there. Isak, Cunha, Ollie Watkins, then you're probably scraping for some funds in the midfield. And there are some interesting guys like Mbeumo, Bowen, on top of Salah that would make your midfield a little expensive. So I think I would give the edge to Marmoush just because of the price tag. But here's the thing. I'm pretty sure Watkins is going to be on PKs, right?
I think so. Yeah,
So
no more Rashford.
this has been a year for people getting PKs and saving a shitty game week. So, yeah.
So it sounds like you guys are both going Marmoush.
But yeah, I think I'd go Marmoush, but I don't think you can go wrong if you can afford both of them picking either guy. It's a smart decision, and the gods will decide.
Yeah,
And Villa has 3 penalty shots made this year, so I wouldn't put a lot of faith in penalties with 4 games left, I guess is my point.
Yeah.
They've gone 34 games, they have 3 penalties scored, so I'm not really caring about who's taking PKs.
Well, you should, because that's the only reason Mbeumo, Wood, Raul Jimenez have been on any teams. Maybe Mbeumo's a little harsh, but
Nottingham Forest has 3 penalty kicks scored.
yeah, and that saved 3 game weeks.
Okay, I don't think that's true, but I don't think you're going to take 3.
You're not saying that
I don't think you're gonna
PKs haven't saved game weeks for players like
No, I'm
Raul
not saying
Jimenez.
that. I'm saying that you're saying people only have Wood and Mbeumo because of PKs. I'm saying it's not true.
I think they've been so favorable in lineups because of PKs.
And I'm saying in the 34-game stretch, you're not going to say that Wood's only in lineups because he scored 3 PKs over 34 games.
I would be.
He has a lot more goals than 3 goals.
I would be fairly confident that if you look at the games, you're like, oh, this game he would have blanked, maybe 2 blanks in a row.
I'm happy to
gets a
give
PK.
you. No, I'm happy to give you Mbeumo on that because he has 5. That's fair. 5 is a good amount. 3 in 34 games from Chris Wood.
How many
He's not gonna
times
make
has Chris Wood scored more than 1 goal?
It's probably, I think it was like 2 times. All I'm saying
Twice.
is I'm not going to put in PKs when a team has 3 on the season scored.
Yeah,
into
we've
the
arrived at the
conversation.
splitting hairs portion of this argument, which is
Yes.
what I was hoping to
Well,
achieve.
yeah, that's why they come. That's why the people come. They come for the in-depth conversations.
I lean Watkins. It's just more of a gut feel to me. I feel like Villa have not that I don't know. Not that he doesn't have urgency,
He's
but
vigorously Googling something.
I-
Just looking at Jimenez.
I like Villa's attack now. I like it with Watkins up front. But they're both good choices. But let me complicate this slightly more for
Okay,
both
go
of
ahead.
you.
Go for it.
Now that City and Palace have qualified for the FA Cup final,
Mm-hmm.
it is likely that they are going to double and blank in game week 36 and blank in 37.
Yep.
Villa also could end up doubling in game week 36 because Spurs are trying to move up their
Saw that.
fixture in game week 37 in case they make the Europa League
Kind
final.
of a BS excuse.
Which
but
is
I
a
get it.
different mystery entirely how
that's-
Spurs are in the Europa League. I guess United's in the Europa League semifinals.
It's kind of a BS thing to ask, but keep
So,
going.
yeah, both of them could potentially have double game weeks coming up, which I guess if they're both having one, it kind of
Doesn't
equals
change
out.
it at all.
But I think they're both attractive options. I think you can't really go wrong with either of them. I lean Watkins. These 2 idiots lean Marmoush. But
Well, it happens.
Just so we know, Villa's had 6 PKs. this
No,
season.
they have 3 scored, Phil.
Okay, so they've missed 3.
Okay, so how does that help your argument of taking Ollie Watkins? He's 50%.
I don't think he's taken all of it. Asensio.
Okay, so it's getting-
Asensio's missed 2 of them.
Okay, so then again, how is it helping an argument for Ollie Watkins when they took 6, but he didn't take them all, but they also missed half of them?
That's why I said if he's on PKs now, that's favorable. for
his
him.
point is they're not going to have Asensio take them anymore.
That's fine.
But anyway.
Let's move on to what you just mentioned, can you give Dave a quick explanation to the people about how this blank game week, double game week is going to work going forward?
Yeah, just to summarize what I said, City and Palace are in the FA Cup final. It falls on the same day as game week 37. So that game is going to be moved. It seems highly likely it's going to be moved up. So they would double in 36 and then blank in 37. That therefore would mean they both double as well as the teams they play, which also means Wolves would double. And let me see, I forget offhand who City are playing in game week 37. It is Bournemouth. So City would then get Southampton, Bournemouth in game week 36.
All right.
So keep that in the back of your mind. The Villa Spurs thing, I don't have any more information on that. Yep. Villa doesn't want it to happen, I know.
Yeah. Well, why would they? That's a ridiculous ask from Tottenham, and they really shouldn't get that.
Just keep that in your back pocket. The other piece of this is we mentioned we have the triple captainship, so that's probably where we're going to use it on somebody in game week 36. So.
Yep, it's knowing that information, that means you should be trying to probably make your lineups to set up for the double game week, however you can, whatever transfers you have left. If you have chips left, obviously use the wild card or the free hit. I mean, that would be the next best chance to do it, the last chance. So if you had City or Villa guys in your lineup from the double and blank stuff that just happened, maybe hang on to one or two of them. Yep. I would completely agree with that. And before we move on to the next piece, people out there, let us know. Phil and I had that conversation. I am curious what people think. Does knowing that Ollie Watkins is on penalty kicks, knowing the stats of their penalty kicks, does it make you want him more or less? I'm curious. I want to see what they think.
Probably more.
Might be. Tell me if I'm wrong. Tell him if he's wrong. Let us know. We love hearing from everybody. So let's move on, though. We're going to go to a player that I want to talk about, somebody that we called out last week, someone that is really going very under the radar. He's basically pulling what Anthony Robinson did earlier in the season. His teammate, actually. Sessegnon. That's who I want to talk about. So we picked him up last week. Dave already talked about it previously. Our free hit. And we free hit and we got him. We played him. We noticed he's been playing forward, very forward.
Right wing.
And
we like guys that play farther up the field.
He's essentially doing what Robinson was doing before Robinson started dealing with the injury. So that made him appealing to us. But he does have a tough Villa matchup this week. But the thing I saw about Villa is they have given up the 9th most goals, 49 goals. So, yes, it's a tough matchup. Villa's a good team. We know this. They're competing for a UCL spot. But they are susceptible in that back line. There is a good chance that goals could go in for Fulham this week. But I want to talk about how good he's been. And I had no idea until we figured it out last week. In this last 2-month stretch for him, since game week 27, most points of all defenders, 50 points. He has 4 goals, and he has 2 assists in that time period. That's 2 more goals than any other defender in FPL in that time period. Per game, this is what I thought was kind of crazy. Per game, 0.32 expected goals. The next closest is Trent Alexander-Arnold, who I think everyone consider one of the best defenders in FPL, 0.16. He's 2 times the expected goal of Trent Alexander-Arnold in that time period. I didn't realize he was doing it, and it's probably because before Robinson started dealing with that injury, he wasn't really playing.
He wasn't.
He wasn't getting any minutes, and now he's kind of become almost what feels like a must start. I mean, when we're looking at defenders, knowing that if you're not taking the Southampton, Ipswich, Leicester games, he's probably the top option defender-wise.
He's one of them, especially if he's going to keep playing far up the field. And plus, he's super cheap, and he's only 2% owned.
Hardly owned at all. He's hardly owned at all. And this week, I'm not looking for a shutout play. That's not what this is. This isn't thinking that Fulham's going to get a shutout here. I mean, I'm banking on a goal or an assist.
He's produced against good teams. He's had returns against Arsenal, Liverpool, and Chelsea in this run.
He's like the Munoz type of player you don't expect.
He's having that kind of run.
I think it makes sense to not have thought about him because he wasn't getting the minutes, he was still scoring. Like, against Tottenham, he played 3 minutes and scored a goal.
Yeah.
So, like, if you looked at that 5 weeks ago, you're like, okay, I probably don't trust picking this guy up yet. But now he's started to show it. He's played 78 and 90 minutes. So, to your point, for this final stretch, you get him for the price tag, his form, and you don't worry about clean sheets. You're looking for that offensive return. And if he gets that differentiates you from the rest of the
And in Gameweek
players.
35, like, there's not, we kind of mentioned it, but there's really not a lot of good shutout plays.
No.
City Wolves, I don't see a real good shutout play. Aston Villa Fulham. Everton Ipswich, like maybe Everton could be a shutout play, but do you trust Everton to get a shutout? It's a risky one. Leicester Southampton, we could go 3-3, we could go 0-0. Like, we don't know, and like just keep going down the list. None of these games are like, oh, they're going to get a shutout probably. There's just none there. So I think when we're not getting a lot of shutout plays, I think he's a great option because we're going to need guys to score or get assists.
Yeah, I mean, he's so cheap that he's worth, if you have transfers, having as your 5th defender, and I think he's usable in each of the next 3 weeks. So.
Yeah. All right. So let's move on. Wolves players. I want to talk to Wolves players because they have been the talk of the town recently. Yeah. Their hype is real. It's warranted. Give Wolves all the credit in the world. They are on absolute fire right now. Nori's owned 14%. I didn't look it up, but I gotta assume that's top 3 ownership of a defender. Generally, you don't get too much higher than the low teens, I feel like. Look it up for me. Check me on that.
I'll check,
Yeah.
I'm sure Arsenal with them Van Dijk and Trent is probably...
Actually, there's about 9 defenders more owned than him.
Wow. Okay, well, I take it back.
Which shouldn't be the case.
I thought 14% would be kind of top of the list, but...
2 of them are Robinson and Pedro Porro, which shouldn't be the case.
Okay, so maybe some dead accounts here. Ramos is not even playing.
Yeah.
So Cunha, 14% as well. And then Strand Larson, 5.2%. So all these percentages have been jumping. It's such a hot streak, and that's fine. In the 6-game win streak, 7 unbeaten, 6-game win streak, they haven't played any good teams. I've already said it, right? I want to give Wolves all the credit in the world, but I want to make sure that people understand who they've been playing, not to get too overhyped. They have not played a team in this run that cracks the top 13 in the table right now. This week they get City. City's only conceded 3 goals in their last 5 games. Pretty solid. They are also, in their own right, they're unbeaten in 6 games. And I'm personally not super confident in the Wolves players this week. If you really want a piece of them, I think we can all agree, who would we take?
Cunha.
Yes. That's the guy. If you really want a piece of the Wolves offense, and I'm sure some people will, Cunha, yeah, I mean, give it a shot. Maybe he gets a goal. But even when you look at him, his last 3 games, he has 2 goals and 3 assists, 1.6 expected involvement. That's bad.
Yeah.
That's bad. He's way outpacing those expected numbers, and I think a lot of that's probably due to the bad competition they were playing. Man City is not bad competition right now. So I'd be definitely out on Strand Larson. I'm out on Nori. I don't think they're getting a shutout. And personally, I'm probably not taking Cunha this week just because I think it's risky. But I do think he's still objectively a good option. It's a personal thing for me.
Yeah, that's
Blasphemous, Sean.
I don't want him this week, but I can objectively say he is a top 3 forward option. So, I mean, go ahead. Tell me why you think I'm wrong there.
I get your Cunha reasoning. I'm just joking because he's my guy.
He is your guy. And you would play him, I would assume, right?
I would.
You would play him.
I
Phil,
would.
would you play him this week?
I would.
You would?
So you're spot on with your thought process. I think a team like Wolves, they need to beat the bad teams, which they did, and they need to play the good teams close, which they also have, and he scored against the good teams too. So it's almost like they're getting the job done now, and they've shown that potential against the good teams. So it's not like they're just beating bad teams because they're beating bad teams. They are a decent team that now can beat the bad teams consistently, including United, and
yeah, throw it in
and play the top teams
Just
close.
had
so
to say that.
He's
get him.
and he just scores from everywhere, and he scored
Yeah.
against the bad teams and the good teams, and he always has the assist potential. So like,
Yeah.
Yeah, City are playing better, but they're not infallible defensively.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think you can still use Cunha if it goes poorly. He doesn't get harmed by them giving up goals to City.
Yeah.
Nope. No, he does not. No, he
Lose
does not.
Lose 5-2.
Yeah. Again, objectively, he's a top 3 forward option this week, and most likely to end the season. He's just a top 3 option at the moment. That's a personal feeling from me. I don't trust Wolves this week in that matchup. I think some of the easy matchups that they've had, it's going to catch up to them against City.
Yeah.
That's just a personal feeling.
It's fair.
I'm not telling you what to do there. I'm just telling you how I feel. But yeah, I mean, Cunha's the only guy. I think, can we all agree? Cunha would still be the only guy you want. Like, would you even want Aït-Nouri in this matchup?
No.
I think we all don't want Strand.
He's going to get a yellow card for sure. And they're going to give up at least 2 goals. So that's 0 with his playing minutes. So now you're banking on a return.
I hope that happens. That's the playbook. Phil gave you the playbook.
That guy's wild.
But, yeah, I agree with that. I wouldn't play Aït-Nouri this week. One of the reasons is I think there's a lot of good defensive options right now. And I actually have 2 guys, if you want to jump off of Aït-Nouri, that I think are better options.
I'm interested.
One of them I'm going to take a bit of a victory lap for myself, and that's Jakob Kiwior for Arsenal.
Fair enough.
I played him on my team.
Yeah, you did.
He was actually my high scorer of the week. He scored against Crystal Palace, and he has started 4 straight games since Gabriel went out for the season. He's really cheap at 4.8 million. He is low owned at 2%. And they play Bournemouth, which I don't know if it would strike you as a great matchup looking at it. But so Bournemouth had that super good run where they had 11 games unbeaten. But in the 11 games since then, they've only won twice. They've been shut out 3 times. And they have only scored more than 1 goal 3 of those 11 games. And those 3 games were against Southampton, Tottenham, and West Ham, who are all bad defensive teams. So this is not a matchup to fear. Their form has fallen off. Evan Nielsen's suspended. Feels like a long time since Kluivert was hot.
He's just come back from that bad injury.
So, we don't know who they're going to play up front. So I really like Jakob Kiwior. Cheap, good shutout potential in my mind. The other one I like is Kieran Trippier, who we kind of forgot about for a while.
I mean, Newcastle just has so many good defenders right now.
But
play any of them.
But he's been starting. Newcastle's clean sheets in 4 of their last 7.
Yeah.
Since he took back his place in the starting 11 in Gameweek 28, he leads all defenders in assists with 3 and attempted assists. He is 3rd in expected assists, 2nd in XFPL, 3rd in raw points, 2nd in successful crosses, and I could keep going. So the underlying numbers and the actual output back it up. His creativity, Newcastle's good defensive run are enough for me to want to make that swap from Aït-Nouri to him.
Not scared about the fixtures?
Brighton, Chelsea, Arsenal, Everton. I'm not scared of Brighton or Everton. I'm not scared of Chelsea.
Are you banking on returns over clean sheets or both?
I like the creativity. The creative numbers with the 3 assists. The guys he's feeding the ball to are in form right now. So like I said, that and two good matchups, 1 neutral one is enough for me to make that jump. He's a little more expensive.
Yeah. Of all that he's got, I mean, again, his defense is kind of stacked right now. Sharper and Livramento, Trippier. He is the most expensive. Does that not scare you away? Would you?
No, because I think he has the most attacking potential of that group.
I would agree with that. I would definitely agree with that. I think, Shar and Byrne, if they're going to score, it's going to most likely be on a corner. Livramento, I don't see him getting many returns outside of the shutout points. So, yeah, it's a fair point. I mean, we know what Trippier can do. We've seen it for a lot of years.
Let me put it to you this way. If you're sitting there we just talked about Bournemouth.
Yeah.
With Milos Kerkez, who's 5.3 million and 18% owned. They play Arsenal, Villa, and City. I would make that move from Kerkez to Trippier or Kiwior for that matter right now.
Yeah, no, you make a good point actually, because a lot of the defenders, FPL goes in waves, a couple weeks here, a couple weeks there. A lot of the defenders that we were relying on a couple weeks ago, Kerkez, Munoz, has been struggling mightily, and he is still owned 21%, right? Yeah. These are defenders that, as the ebbs and flow go, is it time to move off Munoz and go get Trippier? right? So I'm with you on that. I think it is time to look back at the backline players that we relied on for a while.
And if you're one of the 17% of FPL owners that still has Pedro Porro on your team, go and make this move right now.
How many people have Anthony Robinson, did you say?
That's like 18%. Same deal.
I mean, the people that have him probably aren't playing the game anymore, so they're probably not watching. But if you are someone who still has Robinson, unless he's sitting on your bench, I guess, like, what are you doing? I'm a little confused.
But yeah, I wanted to mention those guys. I like them both this week and for the rest of the season, for that matter.
I want to add just 2 more guys in 30 seconds to look at his Everton.
All right, I'm watching the clock, though.
Everton, watch it right now. It's 30 minutes, 33 seconds. Pickford and one of their defenders, maybe Miguelenko. They have Ipswich and Southampton at home over the next 4 games. So, 2 clear chances at a clean sheet.
Yeah.
Might not be bad picking them up. Pickford is highly owned. For a goalie, I think Miguelenko is only 5% owned, so that could be a differential pick. I think they have a tough game in between there, but
I'd rather go with a defender over the goalie.
They play Fulham.
Newcastle away for the last game, so the next 3 game weeks, they're a juicy option to consider, and especially Miguelenko's pretty cheap.
Yeah, Ipswich, Fulham, Southampton.
Yeah.
No, that's a good call out. Yeah,
and
I mean, I don't.
2 of them are at home.
Yep.
I don't really trust Everton to get shutouts, but when you're playing those teams, I mean, come on, like these teams are pretty bad. So to your point, like even if you don't trust Everton to get a shutout, you got to trust that these teams can't score on anyone.
But Everton's a top team with shutouts this year, right?
They
went through a little run.
Once Moyes came in, they did go through a solid run. I couldn't tell you off the top of my head. I can look it up for you if you want.
Probably up there. They got one a couple game weeks ago against Forest, I think.
It's been a while.
Clean sheets. You are... Yeah, clean sheets. They are still 5th in clean sheets with 10. They're tied with Crystal Palace, and they're tied with City.
Yeah, I wouldn't pick them.
Still on the top.
I wouldn't suggest outside of just playing both of the easiest games
I like
at home
that.
possible.
I didn't even think about
outside
it.
of Leicester, yeah.
Yeah, no, that's a great call out.
And likewise, Beto might be a interesting option. But
Beto,
Sean, back to you, man.
Beto. Yeah, okay, so we're going to talk some crazy talk here. I'm gonna go off that thought process.
Let's go crazy.
If you're looking to be a psychopath this week, let's talk about the options in the Leicester-Southampton game. Because
El Asico.
If you're El Asico, oh my god.
Get it.
These teams are bad, but here's the problem. The game could end 0-0. The game could end 3-3. Because they're so poor on defense, you just don't know what's going to happen. So I just want to talk about hypothetically, from a Southampton point of view, you could take Ramsdale. You could take Walker. You could take Walker. Ramsdale's actually been the best player on the team this season, FPL perspective. Yeah. Walker Peters is the best defender on the team, FPL perspective. I think he's 6th in points overall for Southampton, but he is the best defender. You're obviously not taking either of those 2 to get you any points outside of a shutout. Would either of you, let's say you both were in a league, you're in, let's say, mid-table, and you gotta get points that no one else is gonna get. Would you consider putting in a Ramsdale or a Walker Peters, or even look at the other side and look at Leicester for a shutout? There's a lot of people out there that are gonna have these situations where they're in their own leagues and they have to get points that no one else is. They can't pick up Miguelenko, right? They can't pick up Munoz or whoever, Kirkez, whoever else you want to pick up. They gotta pick someone up different. Thoughts? How crazy is it?
I don't know who the hell you would even pick.
Like, I would pick up you or Phil before I picked up them.
Yeah. Well, on Southampton, you would pick up Ramsdale or Walker Peters. Those are the 2 you would pick up. Leicester, I can't speak to. But what I'll give Leicester,
assistant manager chip on Vinny Silverwhite.
What I'll give Leicester is their home.
There you go.
Leicester is at home, so that is an advantage, I guess. Would you consider? Let's take away the players in particular. Would either of you think this week to take anyone in that matchup hoping for a shutout? Do you think it could end 0-0, 1-0?
I just don't think
it could.
I think it's going to be a
higher. Of course
it
could.
But I wouldn't do it. No.
I think it's going to be a higher scoring game.
You think it's going to be like a 3-3 type of situation?
Something like that, 3-2.
What about you, Dave?
It's a serious outburst for Leicester.
What about you?
I don't know, but I don't think it's worth the risk.
Dave's like, I refuse to think about this question.
To think about this game.
Hey man, you gotta think outside the box.
This is torture.
I would take Walker Peters. I would put Walker Peters in my back line Because I know Leicester's at home, and I know Southampton has a bad defense. They're 1-2 in goals conceded this season. I just feel like Leicester's offense is so broken that even they might not be able to score in Southampton.
Well, Sean?
So, I'm not telling anyone out there to go do that, but if you're in a dire situation where you're just so desperate for differentials, Walker Peters, man.
Yeah,
Walker Peters.
And then keep him in next week against City.
Hey, don't do that. Don't do that. I guess that's true. You'd have to use a free transfer on him if you want to pick him up.
Can you imagine using a transfer to bring
I said it's a crazy situation. If you want to be a psycho, watch this. Next week he's going to be 40% owned.
Dude.
Walker Peters.
He's going to score the winning goal, and they're going to win 1-0, and he's going to get like a 15-point week.
But I'm about to hear about Sean talk about this next week.
Walker Peters. Walker Peters. All right. Those are all the players we want to discuss. But we want to walk through our team selection. Now,
yes!
We are coming off of our... I'm blanking on the chip.
Free hit.
No.
Well, wild card.
Wild card, thank you. We wild carded a few weeks back, so you're going to notice our team is built with a lot of the players that were doubling at that time. I just want to throw that out before anyone sees our team and says, these guys are really big fans of Manchester City. Go ahead, Dave. I don't know, man. It's been a long day. I'm losing my mind over here.
So we do have free transfers to use, so that we are going to make at least one change. But right now, we're going with Raya and Net at home against Bournemouth, because we talked about how Bournemouth is bad offensively now.
They'll score in the 90th minute.
Yeah, shut up. Back line of William Saliba, Josko Guardiol, and Virgil van Dijk. Kevin De Bruyne against Wolves. Ismail Assar still left over from the wild card against Forest. Mo Salah and Morgan Rogers. And then Omar Marmoush, JP Mateta, and Ollie Watkins up front. We do have Jacob Murphy, Munoz, and Konsa on the bench. So depending on what we do with our transfer, I think we talked about maybe bringing in Murphy for Sarr, but we'll talk about that later. And yeah, expect at least one change to this team. I think we're debating either Mbumo or Gerard Bowen are probably the two most likely candidates.
Coming in.
Not Gerard.
Gerard coming in for KDB.
Don't buy Gerard Bowen.
Yeah, one of those two probably coming in for KDB. People tried it. We tried it. We all tried it. We thought maybe he's back after that 1 week. I just don't think he's back. I think it's over for him.
We tried.
Yeah, we have other moves we like to make. There's a couple other tweaks. We need some money. We only have 0.4 in the budget, so moving from De Bruyne to Mbumo or Bowen would open up some money, which we're going to need.
Yep, we need to adjust the team for the next 4 weeks, but we'll figure it out as we go. I think it's a solid squad, though. A lot of people are going to be in our situation. Where they have a lot of players left over from that wild card. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, that's it. Another successful episode. Another game week in the books.
Sir. We're getting to the end.
We're getting very close to the end.
It's now or never. So tune in for the greatest tips.
And discussions about Southampton and Leicester.
And PKs.
And penalties.
Okay. Anything else? You guys good? Or?
No.
Do you want me to keep going?
Close us out.
I'll just let you guys do your thing.
Do your little tidbit.
We're having fun.
Do your little thing. All right. Look out, again, for the final team selection. That'll be with Dave, our weekly segment. We'll drop that on Thursday or Friday. Most likely we'll be dropping that on Friday, I would think. But yeah, come back. Check out what we decided. Check out who we're going with into the week. Other than that, check us out on Instagram. Check us out on X. Find us anywhere you listen to podcasts. If you're watching us on YouTube, please like, subscribe, comment. We really appreciate it. It really helps us out. We love comments. We got one the past week. Someone was asking some advice. That was awesome. So we love interacting with people. And yeah, with that.
See you. Bye.